Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where we will be exploring installing, upgrading, and maintaining the monitoring apps for Qlik Cloud. For those of you that are not familiar with the Qlik Cloud monitoring apps, I am referring to the App Analyzer, the Entitlement Analyzer, the Reload Analyzer, and the Access Evaluator. These applications are built off of Qlik's APIs and are used to help Qlik administrators understand, diagnose, and control what is happening within their tenant. These apps have been available for a number of years and are a crucial component to our enterprise customers. In the past, these apps have always been installed into tenants manually, or at a minimum, required some hands-on activity. This was time-consuming and a monotonous process, as each of the 4 applications required the same setup. What I'd like to introduce today is 2 new Qlik Application Automation templates that automate the entire end-to-end process of installing, upgrading, and maintaining the monitoring apps for you. These templates can be found within the default templates library under the tenant administration category, or can be found by simply searching for the word monitoring. The first template is to be run on demand and acts as a fully guided step-through installer. This is to be run whenever you want to install or upgrade one or more of the monitoring apps. The second template is to be used after one or more monitoring apps have already been installed to keep the API key and the data connection operational. In addition, we've also added 2 new variables to each monitoring app to allow you to easily set up a Qlik Data Alert to track whether the app is out of date. We will also be reviewing this process within this video. Let's begin by exploring the first automation, Qlik Cloud Monitoring Apps for user-based subscriptions. Note the term user-based subscriptions here is used as Qlik offers a capacity-based subscription where at least one of these apps is not relevant. After opening up the template, you will see a note that the automation requires no configuration within the editing area, so we will select Run. Once we hit Run, we are taken to the output window where we can step through the installation in a typical step-by-step process. You will also notice a note that states that all of the selections and choices you will be making throughout the process are not executed at that moment, but rather are used to build a manifest that you will then review and approve towards the end of the installation. This way, if you were to make a mistake or need to start over, there is nothing to roll back as nothing has actually happened. In addition, the automation has just silently checked whether I have the tenant admin and developer roles, if I have a professional entitlement, and if API keys are enabled on the tenant. If any one of those prerequisites is not met, the automation will ask if you'd like to have that prerequisite set for you, and will do so and halt. This excludes the tenant admin role, however, which the automation cannot grant for you. So let's begin the installation and leave all of the current monitoring apps selected. I'll then select the Submit button. Now, in the next step, you choose whether you want to install the apps into existing spaces, or if you want to create new spaces where you enter in the desired names. I'm going to leave it on Select from Existing Spaces, and we'll click Submit. In this step, you choose which existing spaces you want to install the apps into. Note that there are defaults for leaving the apps in your personal space or for leaving them unpublished. In this case, I'm going to select the Monitoring Dev shared space and then the Monitoring managed space to publish them into. I'll then click Submit. What happens after that step is the automation goes out and evaluates whether I have the appropriate permissions on those spaces. If I do not, it will prompt me if I'd like to grant myself those permissions. Since I do have those permissions, instead I'm taken right to the next prompt about API keys. This gives you the option of entering in a key manually if you do not want to have one created automatically. Instead, I'm going to select Yes, that I do want it to be done for me, and then I will click Submit. The next prompt is whether I'd like the apps to be reloaded after the end of the installation. I'm going to select Yes, and then again click Submit. Next, I'm prompted on whether I'd like to set a daily reload schedule. If you wanted a higher frequency, you could skip this step and apply them manually after the installation. I'm fine with daily, however, so I'll select Yes and click Submit. Now, I can define my reload schedule. I'll select that I'd like each app to reload at 7:55 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Then I'll click Submit. Finally, I am viewing the completed manifest where I can review all of the settings that I've selected. Again, at this point, the template hasn't actually done anything. So if I make a mistake or if something doesn't look right, I can choose not to proceed here. Review carefully, and then if everything looks right, select Yes, and then click Submit. At this point, the automation is running through the manifest and installing the selected monitoring apps from Qlik's open source software GitHub repository, where they are centrally maintained and kept up to date. This process can take a few minutes, so let's go ahead and speed up the video for the sake of time. And there we go. All of the monitoring apps have been installed. Let's go have a look. So now we're in the hub and we're in the monitoring managed space. And you can see that all of the 4 applications have been installed, and they've also been reloaded because you can see all of the subsequent QVDs that they generated at the end of their reload. And if I click on, or if I hover rather, on any one of them, I can see that the tags have been added. So this is how the automation checks to see whether the application is installed and what version that application is currently on. And this version tag is used for updating the application, as we'll see in a moment. I can also choose to look at the schedule. So if I go ahead and look at the reload schedule, we can see that it's been set for Monday through Friday. And if I go ahead and look at the dev space, I can see that the applications have been installed there as well. Notice that they have not been reloaded because only the managed versions of the apps in this case are reloaded. If you chose not to publish the applications, these versions would be reloaded in the shared space. So now what we're going to do is rig it like one of the applications is out of date. So I'm going to go ahead and modify the tags on the Axis Evaluator and give it something that is older than that tag. So let's give it a 2.0.0. We'll save it. You would never have to do this. It's just I don't have the ability to publish a new copy right now on this demo, so I'm going to fake it out. Let's make this one the same just so the naming convention works out. And now what we'll do is we will rerun the automation and demonstrate the upgrade process, because that Axis Evaluator will now be flagged as out of date. And here we're going to leave all of the applications selected. It hasn't done any checks yet. You have to first give it the space for it to check in, because you could have multiple monitoring apps across multiple spaces. So we will select the spaces that we installed them into, then hit submit. Now it's going to scan those spaces for not only the existence of the name tags, but the existence of the version tags, and then compare the versions to the most up-to-date versions in Qlik's GitHub repository. So what you'll see now is a new prompt that says upgrade eligible existing applications by publish and replace. I could also choose to upgrade them side by side if I wanted to keep an archival copy in the managed space, or I could just choose to exit, but I'm going to leave it as publish and replace and hit submit. I'm going to just choose to not reload it post-install for the sake of time and not create a daily reload schedule. It's already got one there. And there's the manifest. And note that you can see that applications to be decommissioned, the Axis Evaluator will be renamed with its old version. And you'll see that the new version will be upgraded over the old version with a publish and replace method. So I will hit submit. Here it's importing the newer version of the application. Checking all of the tags. And now you can see it's decommissioning the older application, both in the shared space and the managed space, renaming them, and now publishing over the existing application and updating its tag to the latest version. And we're all finished. So we will go back to the hub. I will go back to the monitoring space. If I hover over it, you can see that that tag is now back to 2.0.3. It was just updated a few seconds ago. If I go to the shared space, you'll now see the legacy copy that was left. Everything was untagged. The reload schedule is flushed. It's just a regular old application at this point. And you can see the newer copy that's been updated side by side that then published and replaced the old. And that is the upgrade process. Next, we're going to explore the API key rotation automation. However, it is first important to note the maximum token expiration setting within the management console. The API key rotation must happen at a cadence less than this number to ensure that the current key doesn't expire before it's rotated. Back in the template selector, let's now select the Qlik Cloud Monitoring Apps API Key Rotator template. Now, this automation does require a variable to be edited within the edit window. Note the single block prefixed configuration. Let's click on that block. And on the right-hand side of the screen in this pane, you will see the ability to enter in a value. This is where we want to enter in the value of the managed space ID, which is in our case where the data connection resides. If you chose not to publish the application, it might reside in either the shared space if you selected one, or it would reside in your personal space, in which case you would leave this value empty. Now click on the start block and change the run mode to scheduled. Under that schedule, in our case, we know that the expiry day is 365 days. The widest we can choose from this UI is 1 month, so we will select every 30 days. Now let's just give this a test, so we will select run. And here we can see a couple of prerequisite checks that it's running to make sure that you have the permission to do everything that it needs. And then there we go. It's identified the API key. It's deleted the API key, deleted the existing monitoring apps REST data connection, which is what the monitoring apps leverage. It's then recreated it with the new API key, and we're all finished. And it gives you the details of when the new API key is valid until. And that's as simple as that for the second automation. In the last part of this video, we're going to follow the guide on how to set up an alert to be notified when a monitoring app becomes out of date. Again, this is fully documented within the Monitoring Apps Workflow Guide on Qlik Community. Now we are in an example App Analyzer application, and what we're going to do is right-click on any chart, and we're going to click on Alerts, and then Create New Alert. I'm going to call this App Analyzer is out of date. I'm going to clear out the existing measure that is here, and I'm going to select Add New Measure and click on the FX button. Once I am here, I'm then going to enter the following expression, which is v latest version. This is the variable that denotes the actual string version of the application, and you can see it evaluated down here. I'll click apply, and then I'm going to call this latest version. I'm then going to add an additional measure. Click on the FX and copy in this expression. And this is the Boolean for whether the application is up to date or not. In this case, 1 means yes, the application is currently up to date. I will click apply and then call this is latest version. Then we will clear out the dimension and set the value to none. And select next. And here we want to set it to is latest version is equal to the value of 0. It is saying that the alert would not currently trigger because the application is up to date. We will select next. And then we will make sure that the alert is evaluated whenever the data is refreshed. Each time this application is reloaded, it will check the latest version against GitHub and then update the variables accordingly. And that's it. Once you create that alert, every single time the application is reloaded, it will check to see whether the application is up to date. If it is not, you will be emailed an alert with the newest version. And that concludes the video for today. Please remember to go out to the Qlik community page on Qlik Cloud Monitoring Apps Workflow Guide for everything that we went through in this video today. Good luck and happy monitoring.